everyone, welcome back to our lecture series. This is the lecture number 8 of our lecture series. As we are in chapter number 2, electrostatic potential and capacitance, and till here we have covered, and now we are covering the topic dielectrics and electric polarization. As you know, the dielectrics are insulators. They have not any free charge carriers. So today we will learn how dielectric behaves when it is kept in an external electric field. We will study it in point wise. First point is, any dielectric when placed in an external field develops its own dipole moment. Means when you put a dielectric in any external electric field, suppose this is your positive charge plate and this is negatively charged plate, so direction of electric field will be in this direction. If you put a dielectric in between these two plates, it will develop its own dipole moment. Means the dipole moment, direction of dipole moment is from negative to positive, as electric field lines are from positive to negative. So a dipole moment is automatically developed when any dielectric is placed in any external electric field. Second point is, when dielectric is exposed to an external electric field, negative and positive centers are forced to develop distance between them, and they convert to a dipole having certain dipole moments. Means when you place a dielectric between the two plates of charged conductor, or you place a dielectric in any external electric field, then the molecules of the dipole, if there are so many molecules in a dipole, in each molecule the negative part and positive center and negative center will separate. It means it will become like this. Negative and positive centers will get displaced, and this will be the polarization. Negative side will be attracted towards the positive side, and positive side will be attracted towards the negative side. So the negative and positive centers are forced to develop distance between them, and they convert to a dipole. These are dipoles having certain dipole moments. Each dipole will have some dipole moment, and net dipole these dipole moments will contribute into a net dipole moment, and the dipoles hence developed align themselves along the electric field. As you can see it from the figure, the dipoles developed in such a manner will align themselves along the electric field. This is a positively charged plate and this is one negatively charged plate. This will be negative sign. So this is positively charged plate and this is negatively charged plate. So external electric field will be in this direction, E external. Similarly, when the negative and positive centers get separated inside the dielectric, the internal electric field will be in this direction. E internal will be in this direction because positive is here and negative is here. So E induced or E internal, we can say, will be in this direction. So next assumption is, dielectric is filled on in the volume, but it develops surface charge density sigma. Means here are two plates, positively charged plate and negatively charged plate, and you fill dielectric in between these two plates. If surface charge density of this plate and this plate is given, so we take the induced electric field. In the induced electric field, here we will take the surface charge density of the dielectric. So we can write sigma naught minus sigma I is equals to sigma n, where sigma 0 denotes the original surface charge density, and sigma I denotes your induced surface charge density. Means original surface charge density belongs to E external, sigma I belongs to E induced, and sigma n is net surface charge density. Net surface, this is net surface charge density, or we can write it as E naught minus EI is equals to En, where E naught is your original electric field, or we can write it as E external electric field, and EI is E induced electric field. You can see it from figure that E external is in this direction as and E induced is in opposite direction. So net electric field intensity is given by En, which is equal to E original minus E induced. So from these two equations you can see this is sigma is equals to surface charge density, or it denotes your charge. So we can say on the introduction of dielectric, net charge decreases. You can see net surface charge density is sigma original minus sigma induced. So on the introduction of dielectric, net charge decreases. So in the next point we can say on the introduction of dielectric, net charge decreases, and the dielectric also decreases the net electric field. You also know that on introduction of dielectric in external electric field, a dipole moment is developed, or we can say a net dipole moment is developed. We can denote the net dipole moment by capital P, and it is proportional to electric field intensity. So when we remove the proportionality sign, a proportionality constant comes, or we can write it as psi E, where psi is the electrical susceptibility of dielectric material. Psi E is electrical susceptibility of dielectric material, and formula for psi E is equals to P upon E. If we take E is equals to 1, then susceptibility is equal to net dipole moment, or from this formula you can say electrical susceptibility of a dielectric is measured by dipole moment developed. The susceptibility is measured by dipole moment developed. It is equal to the net dipole moment when electric field applied is equal to 1, or a unit. Next and last point of dielectrics is dielectric constant K. So the dielectric constant K is the ratio of electric field applied upon net electric field. So I can write it here. E naught is the dielectric constant K, is also called relative permittivity, and relative permittivity we know denoted by epsilon R. So epsilon R or capital K, which is your dielectric constant, is equal to E applied upon E net is equals to C dash upon C, when C dash is the capacitance when dielectric is introduced, and C is the capacitance when there is vacuum or air. So the next topic of this chapter is grouping of capacitors. As we did in 9th and 10th class, the grouping of resistors to make a desired resistance. In the similar way, to obtain desired capacitance, we group the capacitors. Similarly, as we did in resistors, there are two combinations. One is series grouping, or called series combination, and other is parallel combination. First type of combination we will study here is series combination, or we call it capacitors in series. So when we can proceed from one point to other, this is one point, this is other point, and we can proceed from one point to another through one path only, this type of combination is called series combination. You can see it here. There are three capacitors, C1, C2 and C3, and potential difference between first and last is V. So in this combination, let plus Q unit of charge is given to C1 capacitor. So if I give a plus Q unit of charge to the left plate of C1 capacitor, plus 1 charge gets distributed over it, and By induction, this plate gets negatively charged. As you can see, this is high potential or this is at low potential. So if I give it a positive charge, so this is positively charged and this is negatively charged compared to this. And you can see it here that these two are connected with a wire. So compared to this plate will have some negative charge. So I can say this is positively charged and this is negatively charged. In the similar manner, this acquires some positive charge and this acquires some negative charge. So we can say each parallel plate capacitor acquires the same charge, plus Q and plus Q. As these capacities are different, C1, C2 and C3, so potential will be different. I can write first potential as V1 and second as V2, and across third capacitor it is V3. From the formula, Q is equals to C into V, or V is equals to Q divided by C, or I can write it as V is equals to Q divided by C. For different capacitor, I can write V1 is equals to Q divided by C1, and V2 will be equal to Q divided by C2, and V3 will be equal to Q divided by C3. Let Cs be the total capacitance of the system. So I write it here. Let this be the total capacitance of the system. Then we can write the potential difference across the system V is equals to Q divided by Cs. Q divided by Cs, and I give it the equation number 1 and this is equation number 2. As potential drop V is the sum of potential drops V1 and V2 and V3, so I can write potential difference V is equal to V1 plus V2 plus V3, and from equation number 1 and 2 I can write Q over Cs in the place of V. Similarly, at the place of V1 I write Q by C1, this is Q by C2 and this is Q by C3. So I get the formula 1 upon Cs is equal to 1 upon C1 plus 1 upon C2 plus 1 upon C3. So this is the total capacitance of a series combination. If there are n number of capacitors, then this formula will take the form 1 upon Cs is equal to sigma I is equals to 1 to n 1 by Ci. This will be the formula when there are n capacitors connected in series. So by seeing the formula, we can say that the Cs will be less than the individual capacitance, as these are related by this formula 1 upon Cs equals to 1 upon C1 plus 1 upon C2 plus 1 upon C3. Now we will see the next type of combination, that is parallel combination obviously, and we call it capacitors in parallel. So the capacitors are said to be in parallel combination when there are so many ways going from one point to other point. Let us draw it first. So capacitors are said to be in parallel combination between any 2 points when we can proceed from one point to other along different paths. See, if I want to travel between these 2 points, I can go this way or this way. So this type of combination is called the parallel combination. You can see from the figure that these 3 capacitors are connected between these 2 points. So the potential difference between 2 plates of capacitor in the case of C1 will be equal to C2. In the third case it will be similar. Means the potential difference in any case will be V only. So we can say that each capacitor will store charge according to its capacity. Means C is equals to Q into V. C is equals to Q divided by V, or Q is equals to CV. So as potential is same, so each capacitor will store the charge according to its capacity. So let's say this charge, the capacitor C1 stores a charge plus Q1, and second capacitor stores a charge plus Q2, and third capacitor stores a charge plus Q3. So again, from the formula Q is equals to CV, as Q is equals to C into V, I can write Q1 is equal to C1 into V, and Q2 can be written as C2 into V. Similarly, Q3 will be equal to C3 into V. This will be the equation number 1. Similarly, if I say that plus Q is the total charge on parallel network, then the total charge will be equal to sum of Q1 plus Q2 plus Q3. This Q is the total charge stored in the parallel network. So I give it a name, equation number 2. Here we want to calculate the equivalent capacitance. So let Cp, the equivalent capacitance of parallel combination, let Cp will be the equivalent capacitance. I write it as equivalent. So let Cp be the equivalent capacitance of the parallel combination. Then Q will be written as Cp into V. From this formula, Q can be written as this, Cp into V. So putting equation number 3 and 1 in equation number 2, so putting values from 1 and 3 in equation number 2, we get Cp into V is equals to C1V plus C2V plus C3V. And after calculation, we get the equivalent capacitance for the parallel combination as Cp is equals to C1 plus C2 plus C3. So this is the formula for parallel capacitance or the equivalent capacitance when capacitors are connected in parallel. If there are n number of capacitors, so I write, if there are n number of capacitors, then Cp will take the form sigma I is equal to 1 to n 1 divided by sigma Ci. Cp will be equal to sigma I equal to 1 to n Ci. So Cp will be equal to the sum of all the capacitance. From this formula, we can say that when capacitors are connected in parallel combination, obviously the capacitance, net capacitance will increase as it is the addition of all the capacitances. So in series combination, the capacitance decreases, and in parallel capacitance, in the parallel network, the capacitance increases. So that is all for today. Tomorrow we will discuss the energy stored in a capacitor, and we will do some questions related to series and parallel combination of capacitors. So stay tuned and keep watching the videos. Thank you for watching this lecture.